all, and poor humanity was nothing but flesh for its cannons. Thus to kill what chance he had for being of use seemed to me more deplorable than it did evidently to them. Their attention merely wandered. 300 years ago they would have been frightened, but not in this electric day. I saw Scipio stifling a smile when it came to the doctrine of original sin. "We know of its truth," said Dr. MacBride, "from the severe troubles and distresses to which infants are liable, and from death passing upon them before they are capable of sinning." Yet I knew he was a good man, and I also knew that if a missionary is to be tactless, he might almost as well be bad. I said their attention wandered, but I forgot the Virginian. At first his attitude might have been mere propriety. One can look respectfully at a preacher and be internally breaking all the commandments. But even with the text I saw real attention light in the Virginian's eye. And keeping track of the concentration that grew on him with each minute made the sermon short for me. He missed nothing. Before the end his gaze at the preacher had become swerveless. Was he convert or critic? Convert was incredible. Thus was an hour passed before I had thought of time. When it was over we took it variously. The preacher was genial and spoke of having now broken ground for the lessons that he hoped to instill. He discoursed for a while about trout fishing, and about the rumored uneasiness of the Indians northward where he was going. It was plain that his personal safety never gave him a thought. He soon bade us good night. The Ogdens shrugged their shoulders and were amused. That was their way of taking it. Dr. MacBride sat too heavily on the judge's shoulders for him to shrug them. As a leading citizen in the territory, he kept open house for all comers. Policy and good nature made him bid welcome a wide variety of travelers. The cowboy out of employment found bed and a meal for himself and his horse, and missionaries had before now been well received at Sunk Creek Ranch. "I suppose I'll have to take him fishing," said the judge ruefully. "Yes, my dear," said his wife, "you will. And I shall have to make his tea for 6 days." "Otherwise," Ogden suggested, "it might be reported that you were enemies of religion." "That's about it," said the judge. "I can get on with most people, but elephants depress me." So we named the doctor Jumbo, and I departed to my quarters. At the bunkhouse the comments were similar but more highly salted. The men were going to bed. In spite of their outward decorum at the service, they had not liked to be told that they were altogether become filthy. It was easy to call names, they could do that themselves. And they appealed to me, several speaking at once, like a concerted piece at the opera. "Say, do you believe babies go to hell?" "Ah, of course you don't." "There ain't no hereafter anyway." "Ain't there?" "Who told you?" "Same man as told the preacher we were all a sifted set of sons of guns." "Well, I'm going to stay a Mormon." "Well, I'm going to quit fleeing from temptation." "That's so. Better get it in the neck after a good time than a poor one." And so forth. Their wit was not extreme, yet I should like Dr. MacBride to have heard it. One fellow put his natural soul pretty well into words. "If I happened to learn what they had predestinated me to do, I'd do the other thing, just to show 'em." And Trampas? And the Virginian? They were out of it. The Virginian had gone straight to his new abode. Trampas lay in his bed, not asleep, and sullen as ever. "He ain't got religion this trip," said Scipio to me. "Did his new foreman get it?" I asked. "Huh! It would spoil him. You keep around, that's all. Keep around." Scipio was not to be probed, and I went, still baffled, to my repose. No light burned in the cabin as I approached its door. The Virginian's room was quiet and dark, and that Dr. MacBride slumbered was plainly audible to me even before I entered. Go fishing with him? I thought as I undressed. and I selfishly decided that the judge might have this privilege entirely to himself. Sleep came to me fairly soon, in spite of the doctor. I was wakened from it by my bed's being jolted, not a pleasant thing that night. I must have started, and it was the quiet voice of the Virginian that told me he was sorry to have accidentally disturbed me. This disturbed me a good deal more. But his steps did not go to the bunkhouse, as my sensational mind had suggested. He was not wearing much, and in the dimness he seemed taller than common. I next made out that he was bending over Dr. MacBride. The divine at last sprang upright. "I am armed," he said. "Take care. Who are you?" "You can lay down your guns, sir. I feel like my spirit was going to bear witness. I feel like I might get an enlightening." He was using some of the missionary's own language. The baffling I had been treated to by Scipio melted to nothing in this. Did living men petrify, I should have changed to mineral between the sheets. The doctor got out of bed, lighted his lamp and found a book, and the two retired into the Virginian's room, where I could hear the exhortations as I lay amazed. In time the doctor returned, blew out his lamp, and settled himself. I had been very much awake, but was nearly gone to sleep again, when the door creaked and the Virginian stood by the doctor's side. "Are you awake, sir?" "What? What's that? What is it?" "Excuse me, sir. The enemy is winning on me. I'm feeling less inward opposition to sin." The lamp was lighted, and I listened to some further exhortations. They must have taken half an hour. When the doctor was in bed again, I thought that I heard him sigh. This upset my composure in the dark, but I lay face downward in the pillow, and the doctor was soon again snoring. I envied him for a while his faculty of easy sleep. But I must have dropped off myself, for it was the lamp in my eyes that now waked me as he came back for the third time from the Virginian's room. Before blowing the light out he looked at his watch, and thereupon I inquired the hour of him. "3," said he. I could not sleep any more now, and I lay watching the darkness. "I'm afeared to be alone," said the Virginian's voice presently in the next room. "I'm afeared." There was a short pause, and then he shouted very loud, "I'm losing my desire after the sincere milk of the word." "What? What's that? What?" The doctor's cot gave a great crack as he started up listening, and I put my face deep in the pillow. "I'm afeared. I'm afeared. Sin has quit being bitter in my belly." "Courage, my good man." The doctor was out of bed with his lamp again, and the door shut behind him. Between them they made it long this time. I saw the window become gray, then the corners of the furniture grow visible, and outside the dry chorus of the blackbirds began to fill the dawn. To these the sounds of chickens and impatient hoofs in the stable were added, and some cow wandered by loudly calling for her calf. Next some one whistling passed near and grew distant. But although the cold hue that I lay staring at through the window warmed and changed, the doctor continued working hard over his patient in the next room. Only a word here and there was distinct, but it was plain from the Virginian's fewer remarks that the sin in his belly was alarming him less. Yes, they made this time long, but it proved indeed the last one. And though some sort of catastrophe was bound to fall upon us, it was myself who precipitated the thing that did happen. Day was wholly come. I looked at my own watch, and it was 6. I had been about 7 hours in my bed, and the doctor had been about 7 hours out of his. The door opened, and he came in with his book and lamp. He seemed to be shivering a little, and I saw him cast a longing eye at his couch. But the Virginian followed him even as he blew out the now quite superfluous light. They made a noticeable couple in their underclothes, the Virginian with his lean racehorse shanks running to a point at his ankle, and the doctor with his stomach and his fat sedentary calves. "You'll be going to breakfast